The Cash Money label, founded by brothers Brian and Ronald Williams, has propelled stars like Drake, Nicki Minaj, and Lil Wayne to fame. The studio has sold a total of 130 million album copies, generating revenue of nearly $2 billion. However, why does this organization have such a bad reputation today? The reason lies in the true criminal drama surrounding the label, centered around the robbery of their own artists, not to mention bloody conflicts and even the trade of illicit substances. In essence, the story of Cash Money is almost like a ready-made thriller or detective story involving nearly all top-tier rap stars in the United States. In this video, we will delve into all the intricacies of the fate of the leading scam label in history. So let's get started. At the core of Cash Money Records are two brothers, Brian and Ronald Williams, known by their aliases Birdman and Slim. Slim, despite bearing some resemblance to his younger brother, is more experienced, wiser, and slightly more restrained, although he too can indulge in immense wealth. They founded their record label in 1992, 4 years after legendary producer Berry Gordy sold Motown Records, the first and most famous label founded by an African American, for $61 million to the MCA conglomerate. Today, Cash Money is worth several times more. Thanks to their stars Lil Wayne, Nicki Minaj, and Drake, the studio has sold 130 million album copies and earned $1.8 billion since 1998. The Williams brothers still have complete control over Cash Money, and their combined fortune is counted in hundreds of millions of dollars. Monty Lipman, the CEO of Republic Records, the distribution company for Cash Money, notes, quote, "They have an incredible talent for spotting talent. They turn aspiring artists into true superstars. In our business, it's rare to find executives who leave such a profound mark on the culture." However, the current situation of the founders is not enviable. Lil Wayne, whom Birdman calls his son, has officially left Cash Money. Drake, the most popular streaming artist, has also walked away. Of the big three, Nicki Minaj is the only one not considering breaking her contract. The key to the Williams brothers' financial well-being is the extensive Cash Money music catalog, which brings the studio tens of millions of dollars annually. But to grow the business and avoid falling behind, the company's executives need to revisit their roots, remember their talent for selecting promising artists, and teach them the rules that prevail in the ever-changing world of music. Birdman says, "I've only been broke when I was born." Slim, slender, and soft-spoken with a distinct southern accent, calmly explains how they divide responsibilities. Quote, "I handle the business side and he often works in the studio." The Williams brothers founded Cash Money in their hometown of New Orleans. The record label was conceived as a haven for hip-hop and its raucous subgenre, bounce. Their mother passed away when the brothers were still children, so they spent most of their youth in foster homes. According to Slim, after attempting to follow in their father's footsteps, who was a street hustler, they decided to make a living through music. Among the studio's first newcomers were producer Manny Fresh and rapper Pimp Daddy, but perhaps the best discovery by Cash Money was an 11-year-old rap prodigy who called himself Shrimp Daddy, later known as Lil Wayne. The young rapper's potential was impossible to ignore in the 1990s, and his signature phrase, "bling bling," became insanely popular. By the way, here's how the trap legend sounded back then. Just like Gordy of Motown Records, the Williams brothers actively participated in the recording process, developing a signature sound and teaching young talents to navigate the music world. While competitors spent months working on a single verse, Cash Money was releasing whole albums, if not more. One hit followed another, and among them, the song "Back That Ass Up" by Juvenile stood out. Concerned that the mainstream listener wouldn't understand the rapper's accent, Slim and Birdman printed hundreds of thousands of flyers with the song's lyrics. By the end of the 90s, the studio was counting millions in monthly sales, and local distributors were simply blown away by the album sales.
Girl, you look good, want to back that thing up. You's a big fine woman, want to back that thing up.
Major record labels, including Universal, started showing interest in Cash Money. In the end, they struck a deal where Cash Money received a $30 million advance and Universal took a 7% distribution fee without owning any rights to the studio. However, the recording giant had the right to include Cash Money as part of its business in stock calculations, and thanks to artists like Drake, Universal is now worth more than the combined value of its two closest competitors. The first crisis for the company occurred in the early 2000s. Juvenile couldn't surpass his initial success and left Cash Money in 2003. As for Lil Wayne, after his debut album in 1999, he released his second platinum album only in 2005. In the same year, Hurricane Katrina struck New Orleans. According to Birdman, he lost 20 houses, 50 cars, and countless memories during that time. By the way, Birdman, despite being a co-founder of the studio, also pursued a rap career. After that, the Williams brothers moved to Miami, where they established a joint venture with Lil Wayne, giving rise to a new golden era for Cash Money. Success came in the late 2000s. In 2009, the studio signed contracts with Drake and Nicki Minaj. The earnings of these artists became comparable to those of their managers. Drake earned $257 million since 2011, while Minaj earned $135 million, and Lil Wayne earned $145 million, closing in on Birdman, who had become $156 million richer during these years.
Doesn't take much for us to do the shit quietly, I mean. She She say I'm obsessed with thick women.
However, the 2010s were perhaps the most scandalous period in Cash Money's history. And here's what transpired between Cash Money and the artists. Lil Wayne, who had been signed to Cash Money since the age of 11, accused Birdman in 2015 of stealing more than $50 million from him. Wayne was once so close to Birdman that he even called him his father, and in 2006 they recorded their joint album Like Father, Like Son. That's why the news of their legal dispute came as a shock to many.
And I'm so southern, that's why my leather's so soft. My top so soft.
But was Lil Wayne the only artist deceived by the label? Not at all. Tyga, producer Manny Fresh, Juvenile, these are just some of those who complained about Birdman and Slim for many years. According to those who were there at the label's inception, Cash Money always played shady games when it came to financial matters. Birdman sought to work with young guys who knew little about the business. He instilled in everyone the idea that the label was a family, so that no one would doubt his methods of conducting business. Rappers learned from club owners and other venues that Birdman lied about how much they were paid for performances. No one saw contracts or received fair payment for their shows. In 1997, the first alarm bells rang. Artists started leaving the label en masse, citing unpaid earnings. The Williams brothers, however, commented on the situation as if they themselves had decided to let everyone go because the artists had too many substance abuse issues. Later, rapper BG stated that he didn't receive payment for 2 solo albums released on Cash Money, and Turk was left without royalties since signing the contract. Tyga filed a $10 million lawsuit against Birdman, while Lil Wayne sued for $50 million. Juvenile also sued the label and won the case, receiving his deserved $11 million. But all of that is just the tip of the iceberg. There have always been many truly criminal stories surrounding the label. According to some witnesses, the music company was merely a cover for money laundering from the mafia business conducted by Slim, Birdman, and an unknown co-owner of Cash Money. While it may sound quite strange, even the initial capital for creating the label was borrowed from their stepbrother Terrence Williams, who was the organizer and leader of the influential Hot Boys Mafia group. Terrence is currently serving a life sentence in prison, and all other members of the Hot Boys are deceased.
What kind of boy that be pulling that troll? What kind of boy sleep shop like an Eskimo?
Birdman has always been associated with strict control over artists and psychological manipulation of them. Many believe that he actively contributed to the drug addiction of rappers BG and Turk in order to control them and keep them on the label.
Knocking niggas off their feet, I go by the name the BG. I ride on chrome in the 9-8 Lexus.
As mentioned earlier, in January 2015, Lil Wayne filed a $50 million lawsuit against Birdman, which naturally didn't sit well with him. In April of that same year, Young Thug's tour manager, Pee Wee Roscoe, chased Lil Wayne's tour bus through the streets of Atlanta in his white Chevrolet Camaro. Pee Wee fired shots at Wayne's bus and, as the police later found out, called Birdman within minutes. Rumor has it that Birdman paid Pee Wee $250,000 and gave him a Porsche car. Pee Wee is currently serving a 10-year prison sentence for attempted murder. Wayne was unharmed in the incident. This is not the first time Birdman has been associated with attacks on his own artists. Pimp Daddy was killed in 1994, right after his contract with Cash Money ended. Kilo G was shot in 1997, 2 years after leaving the label. In 1996, Yella Boy's contract with Cash Money expired, and he attacked Birdman and Slim with a gun, demanding unpaid money. A year later, he was gone. The list can go on indefinitely. In short, Cash Money can rival Death Row Records in its bloodiness.
Only sipping red champagne, white tea, red hat, red.
That's all for today. Who is your favorite artist who emerged thanks to Cash Money? Share your opinion in the comments, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe to the channel. Goodbye, everyone.